He packed his shirts carefully. 3 of them, freshly ironed by me. He said he was going to Chicago for 3 days. Work trip, important meetings. He kissed my temple and told me not to get bored while he was gone. The next morning, I found a receipt in his pants pocket. A gold bracelet, size small, purchased the night he was supposedly stuck in a meeting. My wrist size is large. I only wear silver. I didn't call him. I didn't text him. I opened a tablet on the desk and found a hotel confirmation. 2 adults, Ocean View Suite, Miami Beach. Checked in the same dates as his Chicago trip, his name and someone named Veronica. I closed the tablet, looked out the window at the morning light, and I made a decision. My name is Marina Calloway. I'm a head nurse. I've spent 11 years ironing someone else's shirts, and I am very, very good at finishing things cleanly. Stay until the end, because I met him at the airport when he landed. With flowers. He had been packing since the night before. 3 pressed dress shirts, I had ironed them myself, 2 pairs of dark slacks, a full toiletry kit, his good cologne, the one I gave him for Christmas 2 years ago. I stood in the doorway watching. "You're packing a lot for 3 days," I said. He turned with that familiar, slightly apologetic smile, the one that used to work on me in the early years. "It's not just the factory visit, Marina. There's a dinner with investors the first night, then the site tour that's going to be messy, then another dinner the night after. I can't wear the same thing twice." He came over and hugged me by the waist, kissed my temple. "I'll miss you. Don't sit home alone. Go out with your friends. I put some money on the card." I nodded. Something small and nameless shifted inside me. I helped him with his coat. He checked himself in the mirror for a long time, adjusting his collar. Then he picked up his bag and walked out, promising to call when he got to the hotel. The lock clicked. I stood in the hallway for a moment, then went to make coffee. I didn't go to work that morning. I told myself I was just doing some housekeeping first. Routine always helped me think. I started in the bedroom, made the bed, picked up his clothes from the chair. When I lifted his old house pants off the floor, something fell out of the pocket. A small, crumpled paper rectangle. I picked it up, unfolded it without thinking. It was a receipt from a jewelry store across the city, dated yesterday, time-stamped 7 p.m. when he had supposedly been sitting in a pre-trip planning meeting. Item, gold bracelet with cubic zirconia, Byzantine weave, size small. Amount, just under half his monthly salary. My medium size is large. I've never owned a single piece of gold jewelry in my life. I only wear silver. My heart didn't race. It didn't sink. It simply stopped for 1 second, then started again, slower, heavier, like it was pushing something thicker than blood. I set the receipt on the nightstand. Then I walked to the home office. On the desk was an old tablet we almost never used, mostly for movies on road trips or occasional news reading. No password. I pressed the button. The screen came on. I opened the email app out of habit, usually just retail promotions, but at the top sat an unread message from a travel booking service. Subject: Your reservation is confirmed. I tapped it. Hotel, the Grand Palms Resort, Miami Beach, Florida. 2 adults, luxury Ocean View Suite. Check-in and check-out dates exactly matching his Chicago trip. 1 room, 2 passengers on the attached flight itinerary. His name and Veronica. I didn't recognize the last name. I didn't need to. I closed the email, set the tablet face down on the desk, looked out the window at the October morning, gray sky, yellow leaves on the wet street below. The last 6 months rearranged themselves in front of me without any effort at all. The gym he suddenly started going to every evening, the new phone password he'd never had before, the irritability over small things, the ongoing story about budget cuts at work that had quietly shrinking our shared expenses for months. I called in to the hospital, said I needed the day for a family matter and wasn't feeling well. My supervisor, who had known me as the most reliable person on the floor, didn't ask a single question. She told me to rest. I hung up and went to the storage closet. I pulled out the large plaid duffel bags, the ones people use for moving or flea markets. Then I started packing. Not frantically, not with music or crying or the television on for company, methodically, like I was doing inventory at work. The dress shirts went first, then the suits that were still in the closet, then shoes. And here is the strange part. I wiped each pair before I placed them in the bag. I don't know why. Muscle memory, maybe. 11 years of caring for things that belonged to someone else. By the time the sun was low, the wardrobe was empty. The bedroom had a different quality to it, lighter somehow. Even the sound of my footsteps was different. I moved to the bathroom. Razors, shaving cream, spare toothbrushes, his expensive shampoos. Then the home office, his physical folders and documents, the fishing gear from the balcony storage, the toolbox. I didn't touch his computer, too complicated, but everything else. By nightfall, 8 tightly packed bags stood in a row by the front door. The next morning, I called a locksmith. A quiet, efficient man arrived in a blue coverall. He examined the door, clicked his tongue appreciatively. Good door, Italian lock, complex one. You sure you want the cylinder replaced? That's not cheap. You lose your keys? I'm sure, I said. And please add an interior deadbolt while you're here. He gave me the look of a man who understood exactly what was happening and had seen it before. He nodded and got to work. An hour later, he handed me a sealed envelope with the new keys. I locked the door from inside. The mechanism clicked. Soft, final, like the last word in a long sentence. If you've ever been the person doing all the caring while someone else was doing something else entirely, this channel is for you. Subscribe so you never miss a story. And if you want to support what we're building here, you can do that through Super Chat. Every message and every contribution tells us to keep going. The remaining days until his return were the quietest I had experienced in years. I went to work, I filled out patient charts, I spoke to colleagues, and nobody noticed anything different, except a few of them mentioned later that I was carrying myself differently. Straighter, eyes a little cooler. Evenings, I came home to a clean, empty apartment, made mint tea, read books I hadn't opened in months. He texted every night. Long day at the site, so tired, going to sleep. Love you. I replied, rest well, good night. I wasn't going to warn him. I needed a clean ending, not a messy airport argument over the phone. The morning he was due back, I woke up early, put on my best coat, deep burgundy, the one I always feel most like myself in, called a cargo van. The driver, a broad-shouldered guy in a track jacket, helped me carry all 8 bags down without a single question. They loaded easily. We drove toward the airport. 40 minutes. Radio low. October fields going past the window. Inside, I was completely still. No anger, no grief, just the clean, cold clarity of someone who has already decided. At the terminal, I asked the driver to park at arrivals and wait. Then I walked to the flower kiosks near the entrance. I stood in front of the brightest one and looked at the buckets. Good morning. Picking someone up? I just got beautiful garden roses this morning, or alstroemeria if it's for a mom. I need something specific, the largest thing you have, the most dramatic, and if I'm being honest, something a little absurd. She blinked. Absurd? Loud, over the top, something that makes a statement. She thought for a moment. I have these red anthuriums, very bold, very large. Most people say they're a bit much. Perfect. Wrap them in that gold foil and the brightest red ribbon you have. She gave me a look, this composed woman in a good coat, asking for the most garish possible arrangement, but she didn't argue. 10 minutes later,
I walked out holding an enormous, shiny, absolutely tasteless bouquet of red anthuriums drowning in crinkled gold wrap. It looked exactly right.
The board showed his flight from Miami had landed. I stood slightly to the side of the crowd, one hand on the barrier rail, flowers in the other. 20 minutes. Then the glass doors slid open and a group of tanned, relaxed travelers came through. I spotted him immediately. Light linen pants, a new bright shirt, clearly bought on vacation, a satisfied, well-rested expression on his face. He was pulling his leather suitcase with one hand. With the other, he had his arm around the waist of a tall brunette in short shorts and sunglasses pushed up on her head. On her wrist, catching the terminal light, was a gold bracelet, heavy, Byzantine weave. They were talking and laughing, completely absorbed in each other. I stepped forward. I was directly in their path. His laugh stopped first. He looked up and hit an invisible wall. The arm around her waist dropped. The tan on his face looked suddenly gray. The brunette, not yet understanding, looked at him, then at me. "Greg, what's wrong?" she said. I didn't give him space to answer. I walked up calmly and held out the bouquet. He took it by reflex, the way you catch something thrown at you, nearly dropping his suitcase handle. He stood there holding this enormous, absurd arrangement of red flowers in gold foil, mouth opening and closing. "Marina, this isn't... Let me explain. The hotel was beautiful. The water's warm this time of year. The bracelet fits perfectly." I nodded toward her wrist. She put her hand behind her back, face going red. "Marina, please, let's step aside. This is a misunderstanding." "There's no misunderstanding, Greg. I have the hotel confirmation, the flight itinerary, and the jewelry receipt. I'm not interested in an explanation." I turned slightly and pointed toward the exit. "White van, fourth door from the left, license plate starts with 214. 8 bags, everything of yours, clothes, shoes, documents, fishing gear, the toolbox from the balcony. The driver has 30 minutes of paid waiting time, so I'd move." He stared at me, then at the bags reference, then back at me. "The apartment is mine, has been since before I met you. You've always known that." I looked at him for a moment. He was holding the world's ugliest bouquet, wearing a vacation shirt, standing next to a woman who was now very visibly calculating her exit. "I'm filing for divorce tomorrow through the state portal. You'll get a notification by email. Don't come to the door. I've changed the locks. If you do, I'll call the police." I turned to the brunette. "He needs his shirts ironed with steam, not dry heat. He won't eat fish with bones, and he has a tendency to take spontaneous work trips at the family's expense." I paused. "Good luck to both of you." I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. Not at his voice, not at whatever she said to him, not at the sound of a suitcase falling over somewhere behind me. Outside the automatic doors, the October air hit my face. Cold, clean, slightly sharp. I walked to the van. "Heading back?" the driver asked, opening the door. "Yes," I said, settling into the seat. "And could you turn the music up a little? I'm in a good mood today." He smiled and pulled out of the lot. I watched the terminal shrink in the side mirror. It got smaller and smaller until I couldn't see it anymore. I'm not going to tell you I wasn't hurt. I was. But there's a particular kind of pain that once you name it clearly and stop pretending it's something else, loses most of its power. He had been counting on my patience, on my habit of smoothing things over, on my instinct to protect the peace. He miscalculated. Because I am a nurse, I work in a world where you have to stay calm when everything is going wrong and make precise decisions with a clear head. I just applied those skills somewhere else for once.
The bouquet was absurd. That was the point. Some things deserve to be seen for exactly what they are, loud, garish, impossible to ignore, before you set them down and walk away. If this story stayed with you, if you've ever been the one quietly holding everything together while someone else was somewhere else entirely, share this video. Someone needs to hear it today. Subscribe to this channel. Every week, a new story about people who stayed calm, stayed precise, and walked away with everything that actually mattered. And if you want to support these stories so they keep reaching the people who need them, Super Chat is open. Any amount helps. Every message is read. See you in the next one.